In this video, I will show you how to pass arguments in Jetpack Compose navigation. So I'm gonna show you different ways of passing arguments, whether that's simple data like strings, integers, doubles, or even complex objects. Let's just create a quick setup with two screens. So in the first screen, we're going to have a text field and a button. When we click on that button, we're gonna send the text that is typed into the text field to the next screen and display it in there. So let's just create screen A here. And we're gonna have one function here, which is called navigate to screen B. And we are going to send the string that is typed into the text field. Then inside here, we are going to have a colon. We're gonna center this. First, let's just fill the max size. And we are going to center this horizontally and vertically, starting with the vertical arrangement.center. And horizontal alignment, same thing. Now we're gonna have a state for the text. And the text field here. Value is text. On value change, we change that text. Then we finally have a button. Let's call that go to screen B or go to B. And when we click on that button, we want to call navigate to screen B and send the text. But here, let's just add a spacer of 10 dB. Now let's create screen B that is responsible for displaying this text. So screen B, we're gonna have one argument called text. We're gonna display that into a box. And we center that. Then here we just say text and we send that text. And now go back to the main activity. Let's create our nav host, but first we need nav controller instance. And here we can say nav host, send the nav controller, start destination from screen A. The first route we have is also for screen A. And here we can say screen A. And let's delete this. Named argument, we can say navigate to screen B. And here we can say nav controller.navigate. And we're going to navigate to screen B. Now let's create screen B. And now we don't have any text here, so just pass empty text. Now if you launch the app just to check the setup, let's see that. Okay, let's click on go to B, and here you go, we landed in screen B. But we did not send any argument. So how do we send arguments? So the first method of sending arguments is using the route. So you can append arguments to your route, then extract them inside of this composable scope. Let's see how to do that. So here we can say slash, then we use curly bracket, and here we add the name of the argument. So let's call that text, and then let's just put that into new line. We wanna call arguments and define that argument. So we can say arguments equals list of. So this is a list of arguments, and we're gonna pass nav argument. I already have Gemini AI that suggests what I have to type, but let's delete this. For the name of this nav argument, we need to pass the text. So you need to match the text here with the text here. So the names should be the same. And here you can configure this argument. So you can say the type, you can specify the type. In our case, we can say NavType. Here are the default types supported. So string, float, boolean, and all of the basic types basically. So our type is going to be string. And here you can define if that is nullable or not. So we can say nullable. You can say here true, as you can see. So this will basically allows you to send null values to this argument. and you can also define a default value. So if this argument is null, this default value will be appended to this argument. So you can say here unknown like that. Okay, now we want to get this argument inside this composable scope and set it to screen B. And to do that, we can say val text equals to it. So it is the nav backstack entry for this route. We can say argument, and then this is nullable, so we can use this null check. We can say get string, and the key we want to pass text. So the key should match this one here. And again, this could be nullable, so we can say !let, and now we can actually delete this text and just call the screen B here, and then send the text, which is it. This is not enough because we did not send the text when we navigate. So to send the text when you navigate, you need to say slash, then you just need to append a string. And now let's launch the app, and let's try to type something here. Go to B. As you can see, we got test text in here. And if you have more arguments, we can here say, for example, ID. And again, you need to define that. So normally the ID would be an integer. So let's just copy and paste. Here we can pass ID. Here we can say integer type. We can just remove this. And now we can retrieve this ID the same way we did in here. So let's just cut this part. We can say apply. We add just question mark here. Now we can say val text equals to get string. Yeah, just autocomplete that. And yeah, so I like this Gemini autocompletion. Here we can say text, and this text is nullable, so we can just say here unknown. And here you just need to say slash and send ID, maybe 12. And that's it. So the ordering here is important. You should match the ordering with this list here and this route. What you can also do is that you can send optional values. So if you have like something that you might send or might not send to another route, then you can use optional arguments. To do that, we can just say question mark here, text equals to this text. This is the syntax of optional arguments. And if you have more, so let's say ID, so ID equals to ID. So that's how it works. But whenever you have optional argument, you either have to set nullable to true, or you can just assign a default value. In my case, I would just set null to true. And let's just add another one for the ID. So nav argument, ID, and type, that is NavType dot integer type. And now let's go up here, and to send an optional argument, you can just say text equals to our text. So text here, or it. Now notice that I have not sent the ID because this is an optional argument, so it will not complain. But we just want to change this slash to question mark, and here we did a mistake actually. This should be AND operator, and we also want to provide a default value here, because I said that whenever you have an optional argument, you either have to provide a default value or a nullable attribute. Okay, now let's just launch the app. Now notice that I'm just gonna type the string, go to B, and as you can see, I did not need to send the integer in the navigate function because it's an optional argument. Okay, now let's see how to pass objects, and there are many ways of doing that in Jetpack Compose navigation, and I'm gonna cover all of these ways. So starting with the first and simplest way I see, in my opinion, which is using the backstack entry. Let's demonstrate that. Let's first of all go to screen A, and let's add 2 more text fields. So I'm gonna copy this one here and paste it twice. I'm gonna copy this spacer, put it here, and now we're gonna have a text, or change this to name. So we're gonna just have an object here called this name. So we're just gonna try to just create an object that is called person, and the person could have a name and could have age by remember, mutable state integer of, we don't have that, it's okay, mutable state of, or let's just keep that as a string now. And we also have let's say ID, which is also an integer, but we will convert that. Let's just pass this here, ID the same. So this is for the ID. And now let's create a data class called person. And we're just gonna have a name. We're going to have the age, and we're going to have the ID, which is an integer of 2. Let's go back here, and whenever we navigate to screen B, we want to create that object. So we can say person. We need to send the name, the age dot to integer, and the, let me hide this, ID to integer as well. And now we want to here send the person instead of the string. Okay, now in screen B, we want to receive that object. So we can say here person with type person, and we just need to print that object. And now let's get back to main activity, and let's see how we can send this object using the backstack entry. So before we navigate to screen B, what we can do here is that we can set this person object inside the nav backstack entry of this route, and when we go to screen B, we can access the previous backstack entry and retrieve that object. Let's see how to do that. So here we can say nav controller dot current backstack entry dot question mark dot saved state handle dot set, and here we can just set a key and an object. So here person, and we can set this person, which is it. And now we can just navigate nav controller dot navigate, and we can say screen B. Now here to retrieve that, we can say nav controller previous backstack entry. So this will basically get us to this backstack entry for screen A. Now we can say saved state handle. We can just get that person like this. Type is person and the key is person. And if that is not null, then we just call screen B. But this is not enough. Pass this person here. Now this is not enough because we need to just make this person as a parsable object. So we need to annotate this with personalize. I think we need to add the plugin for that. So let's do it. Let's get back to the app module here, and let's go here, and we can say ID Kotlin personalize. Click on sync now. Now get back here, and we can just annotate this with personalize and extend from the parsable interface. Parsable. So this basically makes this person class serializable using the parsable API from Android. Now we can go back to the main activity, and that's it. Yeah, now we can just launch the app and try to navigate and send the person object. So let's fill these text fields, starting with the name, the age. I think this is the age, and this is the ID. Go to B. As you can see, we were able to send this person object. Okay, the next way of sharing objects or sending objects between screens is using a shared view model. So let's see how to share a view model between screens in Jetpack Composite Navigation. First, let's get rid of this, comment this, and this one here. Yeah, okay, now we want to create a function, or let's first of all put that into a file called navigation extensions. And now we want to create a reusable function that can share a view model between your screens. So we can say function. Since we don't know the type of the view model, so we can make this general, and we want to make sure that the class that I'll pass here is a type of view model. And now we can make an extension function on the nav backstack entry. And here we can say the name of the function shared view model. Then we also want the nav controller, and we want to return an instance for that view model. Now to share a view model, we can scope it to the parent entry. And first of all, to get the parent entry, we want to get the sub navigation graph route for that. So we can say nav graph route. And by the way, we're gonna create a sub navigation graph just in a little bit. Destination. Let's just make question mark here. So this is how we can retrieve the route of the basically the parent sub navigation for this nav backstack entry. And now if this is null, we can just return a new view model. We need to make this a composable function. We still get an error here. Okay, so the error says that we need to make this an inline function and this required keyword. And now we can just get the parent entry. Remember, so if the backstack entry changes, you wanna just execute this block again. So we want to just pass this as a key, and then we can say nav controller dot get backstack entry, and we pass the nav graph route. Now over here we can just say return view model, and we scope it to the parent entry, and that's it. Now if we get back here, let's just create a view model, call this shared view model, and extend that from the view model. Here let's just create an instance for the person object that we will be passing. Make this null, like that. And then in the main activity, inside the composable function, we want to get an instance of that view model. So we can say val view model, which is type shared view model. We can say it, which is the nav backstack entry dot shared view model, because that is an extension function. And then we can send the nav controller. Here we can say, before we navigate, we can set that person equals to it. Then we navigate normally. Here again, we can obtain an object from the view model, shared view model equals it dot shared view model. We send the nav controller, and then we can say view model dot person. If that is not null, then we can call the screen B inside. And let's uncomment that. This is it. Now if you launch the app, the age and the ID go to B. Okay, seems like the person is null here. And the reason here is because we don't have a parent navigation graph for the screen A and screen B. And to create a sub navigation graph, we can use the navigation here, navigation function inside this nav host. And here we need to specify the route. So the route for this navigation would be, let's call this main navigation. And here we need to specify the start destination. We're gonna start from screen A. So screen A, and now screen A. Now we open curly brackets, and we take both of these composables functions inside that sub navigation graph. And then we can change the start destination to the route of this navigation. So we can say main. This should work. Let's type the name, the age, and the ID. As you can see, we were able to share the view model, and we got the same object in screen B. Okay, now the last part of this video, which is sending arguments by creating a custom nav type. So let's delete the view model here, this line, this one as well, this one here. And here we can say person. So define that, and let's define that person object into our nav argument. So arguments equals list of, we create a new object for that argument, nav argument. Already suggest that, so person, and now type equals NavType, but now we don't have person type, so we just want to create that. We want to create a custom type. Let's do that. So we're gonna go here, and we're gonna create a utility function that could be reused. We can say navigation util, and let's just make that an object. And here we just need to create our usable function, as I said. So we can say function. We want to make this for any class that is parsable. So T parsable. And now we can call this parsable NavType. And we return NavType of type T. So this will be very reusable. Now we want to return a new object for this. So return object of NavType type of T is nullable allowed. We make that true. Open curly brackets, and we need now to override or to implement 3 functions. The first one is get. As you can see, we get a bundle and a key, so we can just say return bundle dot get parsable. This one is deprecated. It's okay, we can still use it. We can say key, and we catch that as T. We can make this question mark. And next function, parse value, let's leave that for the end. Now for the put value, we can say bundle dot put parsable, and now we can pass the key and pass the value. So we can say return, and now we want to decode. Now we want to decode this value, this string value, to an object, and for that we're going to use the Kotlin X serialization library. So I'm gonna just add its plugin and dependency now. So go to the project and apply this plugin here, and let's match this with the Kotlin version. This is the Kotlin version I have, and we want to go to the app module. We're gonna apply the same plugin here. That is a Kotlin plugin. We can say plugin dot serialization, and then we want to add the JSON serialization library for Kotlin X serialization. Click on sync now. Okay, that's it. Now get back to our utility function, and here again we wanna decode this string because we're basically gonna send an object. The object will be converted into a string, and then we're gonna retrieve this string as an object. So here we retrieve the string from string to object. So we can say JSON dot decode. So this comes from the library that we just added. We can say value. And now we don't want to pass the value like this. What we want to do is URI.decode value. And the reason why I use this URI.decode value, because if you have links or escape characters that can break the string, you don't want to get a runtime exception. So the safest way is just to convert it to URI, then extract that URI or decode it. We have not converted anything to a string or a URI yet. We will do that when we navigate to the screen. I'll show you that. But now here it complains, and the reason is because we need to make this an inline function and make this refied, because in order to access this T, we need to do that. Okay, now we can use this function to create a custom NavType. So let's go to the main activity. Here we can say val person NavType equals to navigation URL dot parsable NavType, and now we want to just specify the type, which is a person. Now simply we can just say person NavType. Let's just correct this. We pass it here. If we want to make this nullable, we can just say nullable to true, and default value, we can assign a default value person, for example. And but I'm not gonna do that. And simply here we can just say it dot arguments dot get parsable. The key is a person, and we make a null check here, but just need to specify the type, which is a person. And now here when we navigate, we wanna encode the person object to a string and append it to the route. So we can say val encoded person equals to JSON dot encode the string, and we send the person object. And now we just need to append that to the route. That's almost everything. One thing we need to do with the person class is to annotate this with personalize serializable actually for the Kotlin X serialization library. Now if we run the app, we should be able to send the person object. Now let's just fill this text field, starting with the name. Here, just pass anything. Go to B, and here you go. We were able to pass the person object using our custom NavType. Okay everyone, I just covered everything you want to know about arguments in Jetpack Compose navigation. In the next video, I will talk about the newest way of Compose navigation. It came out like a week ago, so I'll just introduce it this way. Still in alpha release, but I think it's gonna make a big change in the Compose navigation, so I have to make a video about it. And I'll see you in that video.